Welcome back to Financial Independence 101. My name is Mike, and this is the place where you're going to go to learn how to earn money, make money, save money, invest money, and become financially independent. But today I want to talk to you about how I graduated college with a master's degree, and I did not have any debt. And I'm going to tell you that if you're one of those people thinking that the government's going to forgive your debt, they're going to say, hey, that $100,000 that you borrowed, don't worry about it anymore. Let me let you know, that is not getting forgiven. There's no way that will happen. So think about how you're going to pay for it, how you're going to fund it. But I've got a lot of tips to show you what I did, and hopefully it helps you pay for college without going into $1 worth of debt. With the rising cost of school and college education these days, you need to learn how to save a buck. You need to learn how to get through this. Overspending, and I see a lot of people do it, is not the right way to do it. So trust me on that. I know it's been 20 years, but not that much has changed other than the price. First thing I want to say is that you have to look at your GPA starting out real early when you're really young. If you're not really working on your GPA, you're not maxing out that 4.5, and you're not working on getting that GPA up there, getting involved in school clubs, and all of the things that you can do, your school involvement, so that you can get scholarships. Yes, that's the first thing I want to talk about, is everything you do in junior high, middle school, high school, whatever your area calls it, that is something that you need to be getting into right away, and you need to be working on that. So if your GPA is not at topped out, maxed out, then that's expensive. And guess what? Mine wasn't perfect. Mine was actually, it was like a 4.0, but all my friends with the 4.5s got the full ride scholarships. I didn't get a full ride scholarship. I just got a departmental scholarship. So I'll talk to you about my departmental scholarship. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, they look at the big scholarships, and they can't get the big scholarships, but you can get a lot of smaller scholarships. We call those departmental scholarships, and I was in the business school, so I did get the business departmental scholarship. I qualified for that. So with that, and I did speak of GPA, you have to maintain a minimum GPA to keep getting that every semester. And some of them you have to reapply for every semester. And it goes along with also the next point of grants. So you can apply for the grants also and get that grant money. And so they're a little bit different than scholarship money, but you do definitely have to apply for a grant. I worked really hard to pay for school. So when you see a lot of people they say the starving college student, they're working their way through college, and I understand that. I understand that because I worked really hard to pay for my college. And so it was, for me personally, I would save enough money to pay all my tuition up front. And then on the back end, I would keep working through school, and I went to school in the summer too, so I'd pay for tuition in the summer. I never really had time off. I never had time off to make it up. So it had to work all the time. My job offered tuition reimbursement, but a lot of times you have a scholarship program at your job. So if you are working, you can get a scholarship program or something along those lines. And you know what? I took advantage of that. I took advantage of every single advantage I could get. And hey, I don't see why you shouldn't. You definitely should take advantage of any scholarships you can get from work or the tuition reimbursement. I'm going to explain the tuition reimbursement program real fast for you. So what happened for me was I actually paid for it up front, and it had to be classes that had to do with my job, but in the restaurant business, it's business classes and business management, all that kind of stuff. So that was aligned, and you had to maintain a GPA. Well, get a C or better, which was very easy. So with all of that, that was definitely a financial help, but I still classified it as I work in my way, because I wouldn't have got that if I wasn't working. And I think that they figured not very many people out there could put in 50 hours worth of work a week and still go to full-time college. It was hard. Next up, I want to talk about study habits. You need to develop study habits in high school. You need to understand that you're going to be reading 3 hours a night. You're going to be studying. You're going to be working out math problems for your advanced math classes. This is not the same as high school. College is not the same as high school. It is 90% independent study. You're going to go to college, you're going to hear a lecture. They're going to lecture to you in college, and they're going to talk about all these points. They're going to tell you a side story about how they took their dog for a walk or whatever. But it's not the same. Back in high school, I could literally just listen to whatever was being taught and write down my notes, glance over my notes 5 minutes before a test, and get a 100%, a perfect ace that test. College is not like that. College, you have to actually know the material upside down, inside out, and you're only getting spoon-fed in your lectures 10-20% of what you're really going to have to extract from the knowledge for tests. And I had poor study habits my first semester and had to drop 2 classes. But we're going to get into a little more of that here in a little bit. because as many things as I say that I have that are good to say, I made some mistakes. Next up, do not overload your class schedule. So I had a 2-year plan. I was like, I'm gonna get in and out. I'm gonna take summers. I'm gonna load myself up with 18-hour credits. And you can't do that and work 50 hours a week, or sometimes 60 hours a week. It just doesn't pan out. It doesn't work out. And I did that. Now that's a problem. When you are working and going to school, 12 hours is full-time. That's already hard enough. And they look at a full-time student as probably not even having a job. So working a full-time job like I did and 12 hours was already hard enough. And I overloaded myself with 18. I wasn't studying it up enough. And when I get to a test, I was like, I don't know half this stuff because I didn't study. I didn't study nearly as well as I should. So that was expensive to me because I had to pay for it. And it was hard to stomach throwing that money away. But guess what? I never took a course I had to drop again, ever after that, because I didn't overload myself. And when you pay for something yourself, you appreciate it that much more. Next, this is gonna save you right here. Know your major, know your goal. I see so many people that I went to college with that changed their major 2, 3, 4 times and still don't have a degree. What was all the time and money was wasted? But you have no degree coming out of it. Yeah, I have 140 credit hours. Well, yeah, it doesn't put together to make a degree. And so one part of going to college, even if you don't go out into your field of study, one part of going to college is knowing that you can finish and you can complete a degree. And if you can't, then hopping from one major to the other is just ridiculous. I would not advise that. Now I understand like a major life choice. Like I have shifted my mindset. This is for sure what I'm going to switch to. I will use all of my coursework that won't work as electives, so I won't miss a beat. That is a feasible way to go. But bouncing back and forth or switching too many times is not good at all. This one's going to save you a lot of money. In-state tuition. If you are to go to a college in your state, tuition is lower than if you go out of state. Out of state tuition is always way higher, like exponentially higher. That I did indeed go to in-state college, and it was in-city college actually, and I did live with my grandparents at the time, so I didn't pay any bills. But most days I was lucky to get 3 hours of sleep. Yes, student loans, no student loans. So I guess it was worth it in the end. This next one that I have for you is saved me. There are 2 forms of tests that were available at my time. There might be more now, but there's the Dante's test and the CLEP test. And so the Dante's and CLEP tests are tests that you take that will give you college credit with a satisfactory or unsatisfactory kind of grade. Whether you pass it or you fail it, it doesn't matter. You take the test, you pay your $75 back then. Now it's probably like $150. Who knows? Probably $150 now. But it's like a third or a quarter of the price of tuition, and you don't have to buy a book, you don't have to sit in class, you just study for it and show up ready to take it. And generally you only have to make a 47 for the CLEP test and a 54 for the Dante's, or vice versa. So you think about that, this whole test that has maybe 100 questions, you only got to get a little over half of them right, and you have a full course, like a whole semester of going to a class, just knocked out. But it's usually intro to like business, intro to criminal justice. Those are 2 of them that I clept out. And I have to tell you, 20 years later, I don't remember. I clept 5. I clept 5 classes. And here's how you do it. You go to any one of these professors that's been around for a while and has 30 books on the shelf behind them. The old textbooks that don't work anymore. You go to them, show them your ID, or more like if you're in the department, you probably know the professor already, and they trust you enough to check out a book from them. Borrow one of their books that's 4 years, 4 editions old, a 4 additional book, and in your spare time, yes, that 3 hours that you have of sleep, knock 30 minutes of studying this. No, I don't really know how I squeeze that in. Now the last point that I want to make, and I've already made it, but I'm going to make it one more time, is you need to finish. You need to finish, get past that finish line. So many people don't understand this. If you get out of high school and you start in college, you're going to understand that you still have that routine of whether you're going to school and work or just going to school. But as you get older, you get out of that routine and it almost becomes a nightmare to go back to school. And I can tell you, I would not want to go back to start my college degree right now myself. But on the flip side, a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are understanding that they feel that they hit a perceived glass ceiling and they're not going to get any further. And I can tell you that I feel like, even though I didn't use my degree specifically in my line of work, that it helped me get promotions faster and move up the ranks. And I know that I was getting introduced to upper level executives in the restaurant companies, and the first thing that was talked about was, this is Mike and he has an MBA. So they were very proud of my education level, even though it makes no difference in the restaurant industry. You can learn everything you need in the restaurant industry. Finish your degree. It just looks so much better. It helps you out. If you're going to get started, you might as well finish it. But anyway, let me know what you think about this and what kind of ways do you have to save money for college, any way that you can get without having to get student loans, because government ain't going to pay that off.